first, we turn it over to Trey Yingst in Israel with the latest from President Trump on the Iran conflict. Trey.
Yeah, Todd, Carly, good morning. Overnight, the Israelis and the Americans launched a new round of strikes against the Iranian capital of Tehran and other positions in western Iran. You can see in some of this video black smoke rising from the Iranian capital overnight. This is an indication that the Israelis and the Americans are making good on that promise to go after more regime targets as Operation Epic Fury enters its third week. We know there were other significant strikes on launching positions, besieged force headquarters, and also other positions belonging to the Quds forces of Iran's IRGC. Now, President Trump over the weekend talked about how the Americans and the Israelis are degrading Iran's missile and drone program.
Their missiles are down to a low number. You see they're shooting very few of them. You know why? Because they don't have very many of them. And because we're decimating their manufacturing capability. Likewise, the drones are way down. They're down to about 20% of what they had. Still have some. And they, pretty tough. But the drones are down, and we're starting hitting, as of yesterday, we're hitting places where they manufacture quickly, most of which we know where they are.
The Israelis say they've destroyed 70% of Iran's ballistic missile launchers. Still, though, they are getting off some of these missiles. You can see on Sunday here, one of those cluster munitions slammed into a central road in Tel Aviv, causing some damage. There were some light injuries over the weekend, but no significant casualties reported as a result of the Iranian ballistic missile fire. A top spokesperson for the Israeli military said this about the ongoing operation and the goals of Operation Epic Fury.
As a military, we do not have the goal of toppling a regime. We do not overthrow regimes. We do, however, create the conditions and undermine it so that over time, the Iranian people will take their fate into their own hands and reclaim this country, which has been taken hostage by this terror regime.
The Israelis are looking east, but they're also looking north to the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, striking a number of Hezbollah targets across Lebanon this weekend. We also know there was some damage on the ground and casualties reported there. Hundreds killed, according to the Lebanese Health Ministry. As this is all taking place, Israeli ground forces, according to the IDF, have now launched an operation into southern Lebanon. They are describing this as limited. You can see some of the video that was released of night vision cameras that the Israelis provided showing some of that force buildup in southern Lebanon. Now, reports do indicate up to 450,000 Israeli soldiers could be called up for reserve duty as a possibility if this expands into a larger ground operation against Hezbollah. Todd, Carly?
Trey, there's reporting that the Trump administration, as soon as this week, has plans to announce that multiple countries have agreed to form a coalition that will escort troops through the Strait of Hormuz. When it comes to this coalition, do we have any details on which countries could be signing on to this?
It's a great question, and we do expect today to actually get more information on which countries would participate in securing the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, this is a critical waterway for international energy markets and the flow of global oil. Over the weekend, the United States launched strikes against Karg Island in the Persian Gulf. This accounts for around 90 to 95% of Iran's oil production facilities in terms of actually getting their oil exported. But the Strait of Hormuz has been under threat by the Iranian regime since this war began. And so President Trump is calling on international countries that use this critical waterway to participate in securing it. We've not yet seen many countries say they're willing to do so, and actually some have rejected this request by President Trump. But we can expect the White House today to encourage countries to participate in this coalition, and also some of those Gulf countries, Bahrain, the UAE, and Qatar, that are taking incoming fire, likely considering this offer from President Trump.
Trey Yingst live for us in Israel. Trey, thank you. With that, let us bring in retired Navy SEAL and host of the Everyday Warrior podcast, Mike Sarraille. And Mike, I want to pick it up where Carly's question left off. If all of those countries, Trey said there are some that have said they are not going to provide warships, but if all the rest of them ultimately provide warships, and we're talking the countries that benefit from oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz, would that end Iran's ability to disrupt passage through the strait?
It would. It would. You guys have to understand that, the Strait of Hormuz is Iran's gun to the global economy's head. That's what their playbook has always been. So these escorts are no longer about ships. It's about resecuring the energy markets. And so it behooves not only the United States, but it behooves every country to provide these escorts to bring stability to the global markets. That's the whole intent.
Yeah, so Mike, dive into that a little bit further for us tactically. What do you think the next steps should be to secure the Strait of Hormuz and restore what you said, global security, back to the world economy?
Great question, Carly. So, we've got to go back to longstanding IRGC policy, which was when their homeland is at peril, under attack like we see now. Their playbook has always been to go to what we call a pressure lever, the Strait of Hormuz. What their intent is to raise the cost of global war, but both regionally and globally. So, guys, not only the escorts, but to continue destroying through just systematic attrition, continue to destroy their strike capabilities. But it also involves Karg Island, which Trey was just reporting on. 90 to 95% of their oil exports go through that island. So we may see an escalation where we see a limited ground offensive on Karg Island. And what that would most likely look like is U.S. Marines doing what they do with an amphibious assault to seize key terrain. Because Karg Island is not only their cash register, but it strategically squeezes Iran. And so that would be critical. It's also strategically located right there in the Straits, which could serve as a staging base for us moving forward until the cessation of this conflict.
How many Marines, U.S. troops, could you envision going to Karg Island? And what is the opposition on Karg Island to when those troops ultimately land?
So, Todd, we've had reports about, us striking over 90 military targets on Karg Island. Karg Island consists of both military, IRGC, Navy installations, as well as their oil infrastructure. So you would most likely, on top of those 90 strikes, see pre-assault fires to suppress any enemy positions that still remain on that island, while the Marines, probably 300 to 500, conduct an amphibious and helo-borne assault to seize that key terrain.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about boots on the ground, which is something that a lot of people do want to avoid here. If this sort of scenario actually does in fact play out, which side would have the upper hand?
Oh, you've seized the key terrain. You've squeezed Iran both economically and tactically. But we've got to point out it would be limited ground operations. We're not talking about mass scale troops on the ground. Right. That's not the intent. And Trump knows that would be a strategic miscalculation.
Mm-hmm. Meantime, Israeli forces confirming that the Michigan synagogue attacker's brother is a member of Hezbollah. The IDF writing on X, quote, Hezbollah commander Ibrahim Mohammed Ghazali was responsible for managing weapons operations within a specialized branch of the BADR unit. The unit's responsible for launching hundreds of rockets toward Israeli civilians throughout the war. His brother, Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, carried out the terror attack in Michigan this past Thursday. Ibrahim was eliminated in an IAF strike on a Hezbollah military structure last week. It begs the question, Mike, why is there a brother of a Hezbollah commander even in our country in the first place? You would assume that based upon the trust we put in our government, that kind of an individual would be vetted and kept out.
Oh, Todd, this upsets me as it upsets a lot of Americans. I'm going to start with immigration. I'm going to end with vigilance. So this points to the need to have higher security with our immigration. Not only do you need to vet people coming from these high-risk environments, you also have to ensure that they assimilate to our way of life. When they don't, we are putting American lives at risk. This isn't the 1950s or 60s. We live in a very different world. And it doesn't take a battalion of ISIS or IRGC sleeper cells here. It takes one lone wolf to be radicalized and to conduct attacks like this, much like we saw at Old Dominion University, where we lost a soldier who was close to retirement. Now, with the vigilance, we as Americans have to recognize that the 21st century is different from the past. We've allowed people, not only through the southern border, but weak immigration laws, into our country. So we as American citizens have the duty to be vigilant that if you see something, you report it. If there's any belief that somebody may be radicalized, you report it. If not, if we don't ensure that people that come to our country assimilate to our norms, our cultural values, then this is going to continue to go wrong. And it is very hard for the intel community to find these needles in a haystack, these lone wolves. Right. So that vigilance, it's the duty of every American.
It certainly is, yeah. And Tulsi Gabbard, John Ratcliffe, Kash Patel, our top intel chiefs are going to be testifying tomorrow on this very topic on Capitol Hill. So we will all be listening to that with great interest. Mike, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.